and there's a good reason for it. But you can light the lamp now if you wish.
What's the reason? For the darkness, that is.
Stay close. Be careful not to stray.
What's the reason? Why is it so dark?
Pay attention, Daniel. It's important that you keep going straight and make sure not to stray.
Good evening everyone, and welcome to Cackling Pumpkins. Does anyone remember the Let's Play era of YouTube? During the years of 2012 to 2014, there were tons of new gaming YouTubers that came after the YouTube algorithm changed from views to minutes watched. During this time, one of the most popular genres to play was horror. People like Markiplier and PewDiePie would play games that are still relevant today. Slender, Five Nights at Freddy's, and SCP Containment Breach are still popular online, but one game that no one ever seems to bring up anymore is Amnesia: The Dark Descent. And after playing Frictional Games' horror experience for the first time this year, my confusion only got stronger. So how about I refresh everyone's memories? Amnesia: The Dark Descent has you take control of Daniel, who just woke up with, of course, amnesia. But this amnesia wasn't caused by some massive accident, or another person's doing, but instead by yourself. You find a letter written by your pre-amnesia self telling you to go down to the castle's depths and kill its Baron Alexander.
I wish I could ask how much you remember. I don't know if there will be anything left after I consume this drink. Don't be afraid, Daniel. I can't tell you why, but know this. I choose to forget. Try to find comfort and strength in that fact. There is a purpose. You are my final effort to put things right.
But you're not alone, as Daniel is being followed by something called the Shadow. I won't talk about the story too much as not to spoil the experience. The game will present its story through auditory flashbacks and notes all throughout the mansion. You can move around, perform a short hop, sprint, and interact with the environment around you. You also have a lantern that's limited by oil and can find tinder boxes to light candles and torches. Use them wisely, as the more you're in darkness, the more your mind descends into madness. If you lose your sanity, then not only will the shadow get closer, but your mind will become your worst enemy. You see bugs crawl on your screen, dusty wind flying through the air, and the sounds. The sounds are quite possibly the most terrifying thing about this game. Most people would agree that when it comes to horror, sound design is king. You could have the worst, shortest, slender knockoff out there, but it could still bring terror to its players just from sounds alone. When I first started playing, I kept hearing this scratching noise from the headphones, and no matter where I went, it always felt like it was right in my ear. Children screaming in the distance, sounds of destruction, and what sounds like someone asking if anyone is there in the next room. But shockingly, there is no one. Honestly, the game doesn't even really need monsters. It could just be its sound design, insanity effects, and visuals, and it would be just as frightening. But the monsters such as the infamous grunt are still very much appreciated, as that does include the threat of death and having to go back to a previous point in the game. But if you're careful with your lantern's oil and usage of the tinderboxes, then you may have little to no encounters. There is one fun thing about the game, and that is the ability to pick up just about any object and toss it around as it crashes into glass or a weak wall with ease. The only objects you can't easily carry around are heavy boulders in your path, but you can still push them around. This wasn't added for fun, as you will need to pick up heavy objects and use them to access certain locations and items to progress in the game. I enjoyed this due to how almost every time, irregardless of the object's mass or size, they could just be picked up and tossed across the room. From small glass bottles and large barrels, and even Stefano himself are seemingly equal in weight. This may turn off some people who think the physics will break their immersion, and to that I say, it's silly, but trust me, you'll come to realize how useful this really is. The only thing I don't like about the game is how a lot of locations look eerily similar. There isn't that much variety and you can easily get lost. For example, the first room of both the laboratory and the wine cellar are nearly identical, and since their doors are parallel from one another, it wouldn't be out of the question to mistakenly go into one instead of the other. Good thing the game doesn't force you to backtrack too much, as once you leave some locations and progress to the game, it blocks off the door telling you the room or segment is complete. Even if you don't like the main game, there is still the option to play custom maps made by the community. So around $19.99 on Steam, I would say that's a pretty good deal. You're not only getting a full horror game, but also an entire selection of player-made levels. Amnesia: The Dark Descent is PC exclusive, being available on Microsoft Windows, Mac, Linux, and classic Mac OS, and you can buy the game on sites such as Steam, GOG, and Humble Bundle. But if you really want a console experience, there is the Amnesia collection on the PSN store for PS4 for only $10 more, being around $29.99. I hope you enjoyed this experience. If there is an amazing indie horror game or game in general you want me to look into, then please comment down below. This has been Cackling Pumpkins, and your connection will be strange.